Okay, this is a short introduction to masks. So masks are a selection method, and we've done a few of them before. So over here in the top couple of sections of your toolbar are selection options. So you've got your marquee options, which is your square, and if you want to add to that selection, you can hold the shift key down, and you see a little plus symbol appears, and then you can just add. I think if you hold the Alt key down, you can then subtract from it if you wanted to. So this would be a way of selecting this seagull if you had a lot of time on your hands. It's not the most ideal way, and you can see it's just going to get more and more tedious. But that's you can add and select things. You can also, if you have by deselect, I'm going to say Command D or Control D, or you can go up here and say deselect. Control D for PCs, Command D for Mac. I'm on a Mac, so if you ever hear me say Command something, I mean Control something. So deselect that, and the selection goes away. So there's elliptical marquee, and if you hold the space bar down before you let go of the mouse, you can move it around to see where you want it to go. And then you can, of course, add to that with other, deselect Command D. There's also single row and single column. I've never used those. I'm not even sure why you would. In here are a bit more complex shape ones. The lasso, which is very broad, kind of freehand, loopy kind of, just grabbing something quite quick, Command D. Polygon is click, 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 click. Back to where we started, a little circle appears, and that means you seal that shape. No, the good thing about that is you can go quite close. But this is an organic form. There are no straight lines on a seagull, and that's a. I want somebody to quote that back to me to let me know they've watched this video. There are no straight lines on a seagull. Also, you have magnetic lasso, and magnetic lasso works a bit better, particularly in this case where there's a high contrast between the object and its background. So if I move the cursor, you'll see it better here, close to the bird, and just start dragging. I'm holding the mouse down and dragging. And it's not doing great because this is a very low pixelated kind of image, but it's doing okay. And then I start doubling back on it. And because of the high contrast between the blue and the shape of the bird, it's doing a decent job. It's not a great image to do. I go back to where I started, and I can just double click or whatever, and it just seals the shape for me. And now that's selected. But so masks are you've also got the magic wand. The magic wand sometimes works a bit counterintuitively in a way. What I can do is I can try and click on the bird, and I can hold Shift key down and start spreading out that section and trying to select all of the bird in one, a series of clicks. And I'm getting closer and closer to it, but it's not ideal. But the background is quite continuous. So if I click on the background, now I've got basically everything except the bird selected. So if I was to just go select an inverse, that gives me the opposite. Sorry, the thing up here called contiguous. I'm going to undo that thing I did. I'm going to switch off contiguous. Contiguous just means that it's going to use all the layers to do the task you're asking it to do. So I've got this layer here, and I'm just saying I want you to give me the opposite of this layer. So instead of the sky being selected, invert it and give me the bird selected. So I'm going to say select inverse. That's a weird one. Anyway, you can kind of see that in this layer it's got the bird selected. So don't worry about that stuff out there. I'll figure that out later. Why is it doing that? I'll come back to it anyway. Most times it won't work. Won't happen. But anyway, that's one of the ways to use that. The other thing you can do is you can say, I'm going to turn off this layer here in the background. I'm going to say select color range. So basically, this is the color range. I'm going to click on the blue sky, right? Anything that shows up white here is going to be selected. Anything that's black won't be. If I drag this up, you can see to the point where I want just a definite silhouette of the bird. So, okay, that. Now you can see that the entire sky is selected as a much tighter fit on the bird. So I am going to say inverse, and now I've got the bird selected and not the sky. So deselect that. All right, so masks is what we're here to talk about, but masks is a selection tool in a way. So I just wanted to recap on those ones before we went any further. So yeah, you can use the magic wand, get your sky, and then cut it away. See, it's a bit rough. Undo that, and you could invert it, and then Command C, Command V, copy and paste to get another copy of the bird itself. So if I wanted multiple copies of that, so I press Command T there to get my transform. So you could use Control T, and I'll just adjust this one a little bit. And I'm going to Alt and drag that again. So apply the transformation first. Alt and drag again. Command T. All right. So this is actually slightly different than I had initially planned, but I'm going to try something here. So this layer 3 is this bird here, but you can see that visually speaking, this bird should be behind this one. Now I could isolate this on a layer and bring that layer to the front, but let's say I want to use a mask to do this. I'm going to add a mask here, and you can see there it is there, right? So if I, when it's white there, you can see the object. If I click on the mask itself and press Command I or Control I, it inverts that and it becomes black. So when the mask is black, it's concealed. When the mask is white, it's revealed. So that's important. That's a little, what do they call that? A mnemonic, a little kind of phrase or rhyme that helps you remember a thing. So black conceals, white reveals. That's the thing. So let's go back to concealing it. And now I'm going to choose my paintbrush, and I'm going to choose white. If I start painting here, you can see I can start bringing it back, right? Now I'm going to go to here, and there it is. So it's a non-destructive way of editing your image. And if I was to say, right, I'm going to take this and I want to move this, you know what, I want them there. Then I can just go back to my brush and just paint in the rest. So, you know, it's non-destructive editing. And the mask can be removed and the bird will still be there and stuff like that. So let's get rid of that layer. Get rid of this one. I'll turn back on my layer underneath. So, same again, down here. I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'm going to press Command I to conceal it. I choose my paintbrush. So remember, black conceals. You can see it there. Black conceals. Got my white paint. White reveals. So again, this is where it gets a bit messy because you have to find the thing. I'm going to undo that and just start painting here. And I can paint it back in. Now, in this scenario, it doesn't really work so well, but it's in terms of the reasoning for why you would do it, because this isn't as good as just removing the blue background and then having the bird in the shot. But you can see in the other example it probably worked a bit better. And then I can switch this to black and just start painting that out. And I'm using a soft edge brush to this, so that if I go a little too far with it, it fades out my mistake rather than cuts it out. You can see there's still kind of a blue glow there. So anyway, that's what masks are kind of for. They're very good for compositing images together. You want a soft edge and you don't want to necessarily commit to cutting something away. Now for me, it was always a case of, rather than using masks, I would just make a copy. Say if I'm working on a layer and I need to hack it down somehow and I need to get rid of certain elements of it, I would just make a copy of that layer and I would just, you know, keep that copy, have it switched off so you can't see it. I'd work on the other one, and if I made a mistake, I had the other one to get back to. You know, I had the copy that I had made invisible to get back to if I wanted it. So that always struck me as a better way to do it. But you give 10 designers or artists Photoshop, they'll use it in 10 different ways. You just got to find a workflow that's right for you. Masks aren't always it, but you got to know them before you know whether you want to use them or not. So you can see there, probably gone a bit far now. But, you know, it's not great because this is a blurry enough image on a very clean street. But so that's it. That's how you would use them. You want to bring in certain elements and in a non-destructive way. And if I decide, you know what, I want to bring the sky back on this one, I'll just switch to white. Excuse me, it's only just gone 9 o'clock, and I can just paint back in the sky. It's all still there. I'm just using the mask to hide or reveal it. So I can go back, big brush. There it is, all back again. So that's what I mean by non-destructive, you know. Okay, I hope that helps.